Hi, Brian.
Hi, Jim.
Just a tubus.
So far. Nope, there's someone.
Hey, Brian, did you see my email to you about a half hour ago?
Probably not.
I wanted to find out whether we could, after this meeting concludes, whether we could have an officers meeting to talk about the possibility of that pop-up exhibit at Westmoreland Museum of Art.
Sure.
Good evening, Dennis.
Hi, Jim. Hey, Marty. Hey, Brian.
Hello.
Hi, Marty. Hey, Rob.
Hello.
Jim, when you just walked back through there, it looked like you were walking back through the woods, coming out of the woods.
That is funny, the appearance you get with those screens. Hi, Suzanne. So, Mary Ann, I see you've logged in. Glad you could join us tonight.
Muted.
You're muted if you want to say hello.
Can I ask a question before we begin? I'm just curious, did anybody use an Apple laptop to use Photoshop and Lightroom? Is an Apple laptop better than a PC? Anybody have any experience with that?
What kind of laptop?
An Apple, an Apple version versus a PC version.
When I travel, I use it all the time. MacBook Pro.
Yeah, do you prefer that to the PC system? Is it faster? Is it?
Well, it's portable. And I just use it for travel. I don't really do anything usually more serious than triage a little bit. Maybe you look and find a couple of higher potential images. And then when I get home, I take it off the laptop and put it on the desktop. But there are people that only use a laptop, MacBook.
I'm looking for one for a little more RAM. and I have a desktop, and I was thinking about getting a laptop this time, and didn't know whether I should go to the
Sure.
I've always been a PC guy, but I wonder if the Apple had any advantages.
I'm not very experienced, but I've used an iMac with Photoshop Elements.
Yeah.
For
Well,
a long time, all I used was Mac, both an iMac at home and a MacBook Pro that I carried with me until it finally. It hasn't died. It's still sitting here next to me. It's just the battery went bad in it.
yeah.
But advantages to disadvantages, depending on what you spend on your PC. You can do what a Mac will do for less money.
Yeah.
Really is the big thing.
I switched in 2016, I guess, and really haven't looked back. The iMac is superb, but Brian's right. You do pay more money, and if you get a MacBook Pro, you know the one I got one from B&H Photo that was like a year out of date, so it was 1 year previous to the current year, but I still paid like $2,200 for it. But it's, you know, the quality is outstanding. If you like the way they work.
I've never really run them, so I'm kind of willing to make the switch just to learn something new, but I don't want to make my life too complicated. So that's where I'm kind of torn.
It's really not complicated. It's just they use a slightly different file system to them. And some of the things like, you know, you're used to a control button and there's a command button.
Yeah.
It's really like I have no trouble switching back and forth from one to the other at all. The Macs just personally, they're going to last longer. I mean, you pay for what you get. You're definitely paying more money for it, but they will last longer. Like I said, the Mac that I have, other than a battery going bad in it, it's sitting here next to me. I still use it at home from time to time. And it's a 08. I think was the model year 08 or 09. So it's, you know, it's getting up there in years, but it's still usable.
To the mall and try one at the store.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. I didn't mean to hijack the meeting. I just wanted to ask real quick before the meeting started. So my apologies to the rest of the group. And thank you for the feedback. That's helpful.
I mean, the PC that I'm using right now, which is a MSI gaming PC that I spent about $1,600 for the same system as a Mac. In a Mac would be about $2,500 to $2,700.
Yeah.
That's about what I'm seeing too, looking at spec to spec.
So it's just a matter, but the longevity of the Mac is there, no doubt about it. I mean,
I just read somewhere where the iOS system works better if you're running both Photoshop and Lightroom simultaneously. And I don't know if
that's really dependent on the memory.
Yeah, that's what I would think. It's more memory dependent. But they made it seem like for all the same memory, it was operating system dependent. What I read, that didn't seem right to me. It seemed more memory dependent. Like I'm more in your camp.
I bought 16 gigs and put 16 more in my iMac with third-party memory, so it's got 32 gigs in it. And it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's certainly faster than I need.
And that's what your laptop or your desktop?
The desktop. I can't with the laptop. It's a i7 processor, but I think it only has 8 or 16 gigs, and I can't add any more. But again, I use it when we travel.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody. I appreciate it.
Sure. Well, I don't know if we're getting anybody else on tonight. I think Annie's going to join us, but I think she might be running a little late. I don't know about Margie. Melissa will not be on. She texted me, I believe her father passed away last evening.
Oh, too bad.
Sorry to hear that.
So I know her dad's been in a nursing home for quite a while. He had a massive stroke quite a few years ago. So yeah, so she won't be on tonight, and I think that's all the updates I have as far as who may or may not be here tonight. So here we go. All right, so Jim, you had requested that we talk about blending layers, or blending modes, I should say. And I wasn't really supposed to even teach the Photoshop class. There was supposed to be someone else, but he didn't join this year. That had agreed to teach this class whenever I decided to do it. So I'm not 100% really that great at blending modes or understanding all of them. Someone just joined. I have no idea who that is. Oh, it's Annie on her phone. Okay. So I found a video that I thought was pretty good, and it does a pretty good explanation of the blending modes, and it's only like about a little over 8 minutes long. So I thought maybe we'd watch that, and that would give you a better explanation than I probably can. So I'm going to show that video here, and I think that that'll at least give you kind of an idea of what blending modes are and what they do and how they work. And then I have a quick video, since it's coming up on Halloween, that I wanted to show you that I thought was pretty cool. It's only like almost 4 minutes long. That uses some of that stuff. If you're watching the video, you can see them using the blending modes and stuff like that to build the thing that I'm going to show you. So sorry, Marty was joining and she was already on there. I was confused. She's back. Okay. All right. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start by showing that one video first.
Hey, Brian.
Yes, go ahead.
Before you do that, since Mary Ann's on the call,
Sure.
I want to give her an opportunity just to briefly introduce herself.
Sure.
Okay, I'm Mary Ann Curley. I'm brand new to this group, and I'm interested in photography and interested in Photoshop, and want to just glean as much information from you guys as I can.
Good to have you.
All right. Welcome, Marianne. And Marianne is joining us from the class that we had on flowers up at Hannistown.
Right.
I guess I could have turned my video on. Sorry. Hey, there we go. All right. So let me get this set up so we can watch this. And if you guys don't follow on YouTube, there's a group called the Photoshop Training Channel, the PTC. They do a lot of really good videos, and I use a lot of them to learn how to do things that you guys request me to show you how to do. So I go and learn it from there and then show you guys how to do it. So, but anyhow, this is about the blending modes. We'll show that, and let me see here, share screen. Okay, so you should see YouTube.
Yep.
Okay.
Welcome back to another very exciting tutorial here at the PhotoshopTrainingChannel.com. My name is Jesus Ramirez, and you can find me on Instagram at JRFromPTC. This video is going to be a crash course on blending modes, and you will also learn how you can quickly narrow down your search and find the right blending mode for the result that you want. If you would like a deep dive into blending modes, then check out my 41-minute video, Blending Modes Explained, where I cover each individual blending mode and how it works. There is a link to it right below in the description. Okay, let's get started. Simply put, a blending mode takes the pixels of one layer and blends them with the pixels of another layer to create a completely new effect. Generally speaking, without blending modes, the only real way of blending layers together is by reducing the opacity or fill, which usually doesn't give you the result that you are looking for. Layer blending modes allow you to do so much more than reduce opacity. They allow you to blend layers based on their luminance value, color, and/or saturation. Since Photoshop CS5 released in 2010, there have been 27 layer blending modes which can be found in an unlabeled drop-down in the Layers panel. When working with blending modes, Photoshop blends the pixels by performing a blend operation on each pixel of the blend layer against its corresponding pixel in the base layer. Put simply, the blend is applied to a single pixel at a time to get the resulting blend. To make things easier to understand, I'll refer to pixels as colors, since the word color may help your mind create a more accurate representation of what is happening, but we're always talking about pixels. You should also remember these three terms to understand how blending modes work: base, blend, and result. The base is the original color. It is usually found directly below the blend color. The blend is the color that is being applied to the base color. The mix of the base and the blend is the result. In other words, base plus blend equals result. How the base and the blend colors mix depends on the blending mode that you select. You do not need to memorize each and every single blending mode. You can simply memorize the 6 categories that the blending modes are grouped into. This will help you narrow down your search when you are looking for blending modes. In the blending mode dropdown, you will notice the 5 dividers that group the blending modes into 6 categories: normal, darken, lighten, contrast, inversion, and component. The first group of blending modes is the normal group. These blending modes produce no change. You can only blend them with the layers below by reducing the opacity. Normal is the default blending mode for all layers, and reducing the opacity blends it with the layer below. The same is true for dissolve, the other blending mode in the normal category. By reducing the opacity, you reveal the pixels below in a diffusion dither pattern. The next group is darken. The blending modes in this group will make the resulting blend darker. Notice that by selecting multiply, the image gets progressively darker where the center gradient is, and the white rectangle becomes invisible. The next group of blending modes is lighten. These blending modes do the opposite of the darken category. They make the resulting blend brighter. Notice that by selecting screen, the image gets progressively brighter where the center gradient is, and the black rectangle becomes invisible. Screen is the opposite of multiply. The contrast blending modes work by checking if the pixels are either darker than 50% gray or lighter than 50% gray. If they are darker than 50% gray, then a darkening blend mode is applied. Conversely, if the colors are brighter than 50% gray, then a brightening mode is applied. Except for hard mix, all the blending modes in this category turn 50% gray transparent. You can see the effect when I select overlay. Notice that it both darkens and brightens the image, and the 50% gray box in the center becomes transparent. If you do not know what 50% gray is, you can double click on the foreground color to bring up the color picker, and when you click and drag over the colors, you will notice the B label that shows a percentage. That is the percentage that I'm referring to. So 50% gray will be here, and every single color that you select will of course have a brightness percentage. The next group is inversion. These blending modes look for variations between the base and blend layers to create the blend. The difference blending mode is a good example. If I duplicate my background layer and change the blending mode to difference, the image will turn black. That's because there is no difference between the blend and base layers. But if I select the move tool and move the layer, you will see the difference in pixels. You could use this blending mode to align layers with similar content. As you can see, the resulting blend from the blending modes in this category is extreme, and they are generally not used very often. The final group is component. The blending modes in this group use different combinations of the primary color components, hue, saturation, and brightness to create the blend. This is a category of blending modes that I use a lot, especially when working with adjustment layers. I also think it's the easiest to understand. For example, if I create a curves adjustment layer and make an extreme adjustment, you will see that the image has more contrast and more saturation. But if I select luminosity, notice how I only affect the luminance values and not saturation. I could also select color, and the color changes, but not the luminosity. Another example would be to create a black and white adjustment layer, which of course makes everything black and white, and you can use the sliders in the properties panel to control the luminance values of the original colors to make a better black and white image. But if I change the blending mode to luminosity, the color comes back, and I can use the sliders to adjust the luminance of each color. Put simply, when you select the blending mode in this category, it will only affect that component and not the others. So if you select color, it will only affect the color but not the hue, saturation, or luminosity. To recap, blending modes look at both the blend layer and base layer to come up with the result. The result is determined by the blending mode that you select. If you need the result to be dark, look for blending modes in the darken category. If you need the result to be bright, look for blending modes in the lighten category. If you need both a dark and bright result, then look for blending modes in the contrast category. If you would like to isolate a primary color component, such as hue, saturation, or luminosity, then select the blending mode from the component category. Of course, there is a lot more to learn. If you're interested in a longer, more comprehensive video on blending modes, then check out my video, Blending Modes Explained. There's a link to it in the description. I hope that you found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments what was the thing that you liked the most about this tutorial. If you're new to the Photoshop Training channel, don't forget to click on that subscribe and notification buttons.
Okay. So I chose not to show you the 42-minute version of that. I figured you guys would, although that might be a good way to get me out of being a president again next year.
I don't think so.
Oh, man.
Nice try.
But it kind of gives you a basics of blending modes, what they're there for, what they do. And I thought that was a good way to at least start understanding them. Again, the Photoshop Training channel, I can't say enough about them. They show a lot of really good quick videos that are 8 to 10 minutes long that'll teach you a lot about Photoshop, as well as they do some stuff on Lightroom too. That was it. The other thing. All right. So I wanted to show you that, and then I wanted to show you, since we're coming into Halloween, let's show you one that's actually going to use a couple different layers and some blending modes. Now this one isn't an explanation, but you kind of watch what they're doing, and he says, or it's typed out each time he does something, it's typed out at the bottom what's actually happening as he's working on it. And I thought this fit well for Halloween time. So let me show you this one again. It's 3 minutes and 38 seconds, or just a few seconds shorter than that. And then we'll move on to whatever at this point. You guys see him use the blending mode?
Yeah. Do you know what, Brian? I've seen YouTube videos where they do this thing like this without the audio. I can't stand it.
Well, I agree with you, and the only reason I showed it because it was only 3 minutes long. I hate a tutorial that doesn't actually talk to me and tell me what's going on. But I just thought because it was a, if you notice, he used the blending mode right about here, I believe it was. Which he changed that to a soft light to get that to show through there. But yes, I agree with you 100%, Jim. I absolutely 99.9% of the time, if I start a video and it doesn't have an actual person talking to me in a tutorial, I move on to the next video.
It's so hard to read the text and follow what he's doing with his cursor at the same time.
Right, I agree. I agree. But I just thought it was a pretty cool effect for Halloween anyhow. Since
Yeah, result was pretty cool.
yeah, since we're in this month of October and the whole Halloween thing.
That must be someone who speaks whatever language, English or whatever, but wants to offer it to people of other languages. So they probably do the video and then just put on the language of choice on the overlay.
That's a possibility. I do like to look for videos though that have links to the actual pictures. That way you can mess with them yourself, which this one actually does have a link to the man, to the skull, and to the texture. So I'd like to do that. That way I can go download those pieces and work the video out step by step and the instructions out step by step to get to what I'm looking at. But anyhow, I thought that was pretty cool.
So I've got a question. I know there's not a lot of members on the call, but do any of you use the blending modes? And do you use it for any particular purpose?
I do. I use soft light for when I go and do sharpening by high frequency. Oh, God, what do they call it? I'll have to look. I can tell you, but you make a duplicate layer and you do a, you're looking for the edges. They analyze the image for the edges and you blend it back with soft light. And you get a sharper image.
Okay.
Jim, I use, it's called, when you go down to the filter drop menu, there's a thing called a high pass filter.
High pass filter.
Right. And the thing is that if you want to sharpen your image better than the actual drop down menu called sharpen, what you do is you duplicate your layer, okay, the base layer. And then on that second layer, you drop down the high pass filter. It's down at the bottom. I think it's other, let me just see. It's
Under
other effects, correct. And then what you do is you get a little box and you sharpen, and it goes up to a lot of volume, but usually around 3 or 4, just a subtle sharpening. And then once you get that, you'll see that your second layer that you sharpen or had the high pass filter is grayed out. You drop the overlay and you get a duplicate picture, but a more sharpened picture than the base layer.
You do that with soft light.
An overlay.
No, I use soft light.
Okay. So it sharpens the image better than the sharpening tool of Lightroom or the sharpened dialogue of the sharpened dialogue.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis and Bob.
All right. I would actually like to see one of you guys actually show us how to do that at some point, because I don't know that I may have used that at one point somewhere along the line, but I don't know. I don't quite remember actually using or how to do that.
Let me see if
I can do one.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd appreciate it because
No.
like I said, I'm not the person that should be teaching the Photoshop course. I'm working this along as we go. So any help is very much appreciated.
Yeah, let me get, okay. Where the hell am I at? Got that image. Duplicate the layer. I gotta get through the zoom commands here. Filter. Filter. Other. High pass. 3 pixels. You see, if you look at the screen and look where the examined block is, you see that little, you see some texture to it.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that follows the structure of the image. So I do okay. Then I do soft light. And you get an image. Let me see if I can get it bigger. There's the difference. See that? It's on, off. And I agree with Bob. It's straightforward and results are generally good. Although you can get sharpening. I find in the digital sharpening, you can, when you print it, it can sometimes be so sharp that the edges of things have no transition detail. You know, they're too sharp, and you can deal with that by inverting the mask. See the difference? It actually makes it a little more diffuse. This is up in Lynn Run State Park.
So technically you could put a layer mask on that as well.
You could, absolutely.
And then just brush in the sharpness where you want it to go.
Yep, you could.
Okay.
And I'm not, what do you use, Bob?
I use overlay.
It may not matter.
Yeah. It helps. I mean, when you have a little blurred picture, it's hard to sharpen a little bit better than the other things that they have on the menu, drop down.
Yeah. So that's the result. That's the sharpened result. You know, I find it a little less subjective than unsharpening.
Yeah, I've never using the on sharpen thing or the typical way of doing it. I've never found that to be personally what I would like to see. I've never, I don't know. I've never really gotten to where I like that way of sharpening. And I know a few years back, Paul had showed us a way of sharpening, and I have since forgotten how to do that. I'd have to go back through some notes somewhere and see if I could find that. But he used a way of sharpening, and it was a multi-step process. But when you were done, you brushed your sharpening basically in with a brush where you wanted it to be. And I know I got some really good results out of that back then. Because you could, like, if you were taking a picture of, say, rocks underwater, in a stream you could actually sharpen the rocks under the water, which worked out really well. And I always liked that, and I kind of got away from doing it, and now I honestly can't remember how to do it. So I might have to do some looking and see if I can't find somewhere. I think I have his presentation that showed us how to do that. I could find that and show that as a process of sharpening too.
Well, Dennis or Bob, or both for that matter, Dennis, I saw what you did. I saw the result. I'm not sure I understand how or why. I mean, can you look under the hood and tell me what's going on there?
I think mathematically what it does is it takes the derivative of the pixels, and the edges are when the derivative crosses 0. So on the left side and the right side, you have plus and you have minus, and it looks for those and it accentuates the slope of the derivative so that where the edges get sharper. So it's a frequency analysis.
So it's looking for the edges. How's the overlay, or either the overlay or the soft light? What's it? I guess I don't understand how it's accomplishing that.
Well, I don't know.
Okay, I'll consider it for the time being.
Well, if we think about the video, the blending mode, which would be either the overlay or the other one, I can't remember what it was right offhand, is looking at pixel by pixel and color by color, or color by color as we think about it. So it's blending the base and the high pass filter pixel by pixel, if that makes any sense at all. So by sharpening the edges using the high pass filter, then telling it to blend those, it's blending the edges that it's finding with the layer underneath of it. It's blending those two layers together.
So I don't use Photoshop. I think you're aware. I do have Photoshop Elements. It has the blending modes as well. But the high pass filter, apparently that can be used, forget the blending modes, even with the normal mode, you can use the high pass filter to sharpen the photo. Is that the deal?
Yeah.
All right.
So somehow this is accelerating or being more refined, sharpened because of the blend mode that's being used?
I'm not sure how it works, Jim.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I mean, it's like one of those things that driving a car, you know how to drive a car, but you don't know how to fix the motor and all that.
But somehow it accelerates the sharpening, you're saying.
Right. It makes it, at least I found it, that it's better than the sharpen tool in the filter drop-down menu.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So Jim, ask another question. We'll have someone else answer it.
So it's been a while since I looked into blending modes, but I came across a couple of YouTube videos, and I don't recall any particulars, but one of the purposes that they used it for, and it seemed like it was more work than necessary, was if let's say you did a multiple exposure of the same scene. You did you decreased exposure on one and increased exposure on the other. And so a simple example would be like a landscape photo where you had some foreground scene and then a bright sky on top. That you could, in this case, take the two separate photos and apply one of those blending modes to one of the photos in order to get, let's say, the darker sky onto the lighter background, or vice versa. And although it worked, it seems like, at least for me, it was almost easier just to do masking on the exposure and just kind of blend it in manually, if you will. So I'm curious, do any of you happen to use blending mode for the multiple exposure application? And if so, why?
I haven't. One thing that I saw in Dennis is he has the luminosity application, and what you could do is isolate that area by color, by darkness or lightness, and make it as a select object to either mask or to highlight. And that's what I use sometimes to select some objects like the sky or a darkened area or a house to do the effects that I want to do. And it's applicable to Photoshop. It kind of
Bob,
works.
that's a good example, because that's what I've been doing
Yeah.
in Capture One, particularly for the sky, where the luminosity mask works almost perfectly for that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I'm wondering if the use of blending modes for that purpose was done previously when luminosity masking maybe just wasn't available.
I think that PTC channel does have something on the blending modes using to replace the sky, because I vaguely remember seeing it once and all that. But I haven't done it recently, because with luminosity you could do it easier and all that, and it's right there on the app. You just pick the little, whether it's dark or light, and then just apply it as a selection.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, anything about Photoshop? Like I said, guys, I'm really not the person to be teaching this class.
So Brian, a completely different subject. Did you
Okay.
get some rest Monday night?
I did. After the meeting was over, I went out to eat. And I came back and I woke up at about 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning.
Good.
So, yeah, I slept all night, and the vast majority of last night I was asleep too. I got up from 2 to like 4 and then went back to bed or so. So, yes, I did get some sleep since the last time we've met.
Good for you.
I'm good to go again for a couple more days with no sleep.
Nah. That's not good.
Okay, guys, any questions, please? I'm begging you.
Okay, Bob DeJesus, what's another blending mode application that you're familiar with?
I was just doing a quick thing on my. You could do change the color to some extent. Let me just hold on 1 second and see if this is working for me. No, I'm sorry, Jim. I try to do something, but I can't. There's a gentleman called Aaron Nace that has a nice video on blending modes. And what this one was, where it colored, you know how people have some dark circles under their eyes, how you could lighten up those circles. And he used a blending mode, the color blending mode, to kind of feather into the skin and all that. So his name is Aaron Nace, very excellent on Photoshop, and tells you how to do that. And I was trying to do something here, but it just wasn't working out well. So, but that's the only time I use a blending mode, is for the high pass filter for the most part. It's a little complicated. I mean, they have so many subsections that, you know, I sometimes get mixed up when to use it, and therefore I kind of use it very infrequently. Let's put it that way.
When Brian was showing the other video, I saw over in the margin, there was Photoshop for Photographers, episode 6, blending modes. And so I put it on my iPad and started watching. He explains it very well. And he shows you exactly what he's doing. So it's 11 minutes long, but he's really explaining it really well. So I just thought I would share that.
What episode was it?
It was episode 6, blending modes. It was Photoshop for Photographers, episode 6, blending modes. And it's a picture of a landscape with a sunset.
Okay. I found it. You guys want to watch it? It's 10 minutes long, 11 minutes long.
Sure.
Yep.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Let me get it to where I can skip the ads and then we'll start it.
Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from anthonymorganti.com, and this is episode 6 of Photoshop for Photographers, and today we're going to talk some more about blend modes. What I'm going to do is I have this photograph here and I want to enhance certain parts of the photograph one way and enhance other parts of the photograph a different way. And I'm going to use various layers and blend them a certain way to get the effect I want. Okay, to start, remember, I like to fill my work area with the photograph, and the easiest way to do that is hit Command or Control 0, and that fills the work area with the photograph. The other thing, which is a good practice in Photoshop, is to always duplicate your background. That way, if you make a mistake, you could just throw this layer in the garbage and you didn't damage any pixels on the original background image. Okay, so now I'm ready to do some work, and what I want to do is I want to increase contrast so the sky looks more dramatic. But in doing that, I don't want this grass here to go completely black. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to brighten this bottom part. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to create a new layer. And if you go down here in the lower right, you see the garbage can. And right next to the garbage can is looks like a piece of paper with the folded corner folded over. If you hover over it, it says create a new layer. We're just going to click on that. We're going to have this new layer. Now what I'm going to do is I want to blend this layer a certain way. I'm going to paint on it, then I'm going to blend it a certain way so that it brightens the grass. But I'm not going to blend it yet. I'm going to show you what it's like if I just paint on it normally. And I'm going to paint white. If I wanted to make the grass darker, I would paint black. But I want to make it lighter, so I'm going to paint white. You go over here, remember this 90-degree arrow? You could click on that to swap so the white is the foreground color on your swatch. You could also just hit X key on your keyboard and it will flip-flop them. So we want to paint white. I'm going to go to the brush tool, which is right here, or you could hit B on your keyboard is a shortcut for the brush. And I want to use a very soft brush, so I'm going to have hardness all the way down. And then I could adjust the size of the brush with the bracket keys. The left bracket key makes it smaller, the right bracket key makes it bigger. And what I'm going to do, now make sure I'm on this layer, I'm going to paint this grass white. Now you can see I'm not blending it right now. I'm just painting white paint over this grass. Okay? Now, I'm going to blend it. I'm going to go up here to this drop down right here, and I'm going to make this overlay. And you can see it just made the grass brighter. See? Simple as that. I just paint white on it to make it brighter. Now the reason why it's really bright now, but I want to increase contrast in the shot, so I know when I'm done with that, this is going to get dark again. I didn't want it to be black. I didn't want it to be a silhouette. I wanted to see some color there. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another new layer. And the easiest way, and the quickest way is to just fill this layer with black, and it will make, and then blend it a certain way, and it will make the image have better contrast. Now the blend mode we're going to use is soft light right here. Okay, so soft light, and what we're going to do is I'm going to make the foreground black. Well, you know what? I'm going to show you the way that I don't do it, just so you could see another way to do it. Is you go to Edit, Fill, and you want to fill this black, and you want soft light, and you can just click OK, but we're not going to do it that way like I mentioned. I use a keyboard shortcut, so make sure you're clicked on that, and all you got to do is hold your Alt or Option key in and hit Delete. And it filled it with black, and you could see how it increased contrast, made the sky very dramatic, made brought out some colors. It helped saturate colors, so it brought up some colors in the sky. And now you see why I made this foreground lighter. I didn't want that to be black like this hill here. I wanted it to be lighter. All right. So to me, actually, this photograph is done. But I'm going to show you one more thing, just another layer with another type of blend mode. And so I'm going to get another new layer, put it on top. It's blank, transparent layer, so it's not doing anything. We're going to change this one to soft light also. Now I'm going to go back to our swatches here, and I want to change this to make it kind of like a sunset color. So I'm going to go down here to our color picker, and I'm going to pick something more in the yellow range, probably right about there. Okay, and I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to pick a gradient. It's this icon right here is gradient. If you don't see that, if you click and hold down on it, you can see it might have the paint bucket there, and the gradient tool is the top one. It's like 3 tools in one. So make sure you're using gradient. You could hit the G key on your keyboard, and that's a shortcut to it. Now the type of gradient I want to do is I want this one, the second one over, so it goes from that golden color to clear, to transparent, I should say. All right, so that second one, and I want to use a radial gradient, which is the second one from the left. That's the type of gradient we're going to draw on here. So all we do is I want to go right over the sun, and I'm going to click on that and just drag out like that, and you could see the effect it did. It just kind of made this glow come out from the sun, go across the sky and across the grass in front, and it's a gradient, so it's more intense in the middle and less intense on the outside, and I have it as soft light to be blended in. Now one more thing I want to show you is you could cycle through these if you want to try different ones. Like you want to try what's it look like in overlay mode. See, it's a little more intense. Light and color mode, it's crazy, it's ugly as heck. There's a quick way to do it, is you just hold shift and you hit plus or minus. But the caveat is, if you're on any tool that has a blend mode built in, if I hit shift plus now, look up here. It's changing it here. And I don't want it to change it there. See, it's not doing anything because I already drew the tool. It's too late, right? So what we're going to do is just go to a tool that does not have a blend mode. Now a lot of them do. The brush tool does, the healing brush does, has blend modes. So just go to like the lasso tool there, you know. All right, so there's no blend mode. So then I could hit shift plus or minus. Shift plus, I'll go forward through the blend modes. Shift minus, I'd go backwards. So there's vivid light, linear light. If you look right here, you can see that I'm cycling through, and I'm holding the shift key down and I'm hitting plus. Pin light, hard mix, difference. Some of these will get really bizarre. Okay, but it gives you an idea what the blend modes do. And you go through color burn, linear burn. Maybe there's some effect you want to do, and you could get an idea. Lighten, screen, color dodge, linear dodge. There's a lot. There's overlay and there's soft light. And I want to leave it in soft light. Now, if another thing I'd like to show you, just thought of, If that's too intense, I could turn the opacity down. Right here is the opacity, and there's a slider. I could turn it down, make it less intense. The way I like to do it though is I don't like to mess with the slider. If you go right over the word opacity, you can see it turns into a hand with an arrow on either side of the index finger. That's called a scrubby slider. Just go over I like to go over where it says opacity, and I click down with my left mouse button and I move to the left, and it will bring it down. And something maybe like that. Now, it's pretty cool, isn't it? I mean, just these layers. And I blended them in a certain way to get this effect. And here is my original shot. I could hold the Alt or Option key down and click on the eyeball of the background layer, and it will turn all of them off except that one. So there was the original photograph that we came into Photoshop with. Now I'm going to hold the Alt or Option key down again and click on that eyeball again, and that turns them all back on, and there's what I developed the Photoshop or the photograph to be with Photoshop. So that's it for episode 6. We're going to be going on into more intense topics and doing some compositing and blending some more with blend modes. So we're building our knowledge of Photoshop little by little, and hopefully within a few more episodes you guys will be very comfortable with Photoshop and blend modes and layers and doing different things. Now this file, if you would like this file to practice, you if you're watching this on YouTube, in the description I will have a link to go to my website where.
What do you think of that?
That was good.
Pretty cool.
Hey, Brian, I should mention, Anthony Morganti, I've watched a number of his videos and other subjects. That's his typical style. He really does a nice job of explaining things. If you go to his YouTube channel, he's got a bunch of playlists on just about every subject imaginable as far as post-processing goes, on a number of different programs.
Okay. Now, let me do this real quick. And I'm going to go into chat and drop in the video that we just watched. And I'll also drop in a link to his channel too. That way you guys can.
I just liked how he explained it for a beginner like me. And he showed you exactly what key did what and gave you the shortcuts and explained where he was going with it and stuff. I just thought it was really good.
That's his style for all of his videos.
Yeah.
I watched a few of his on Lightroom too. I agree. He's really good. And I learned a lot from that one. It really helped me because I don't understand the blending very well at all. That was very helpful.
He's doing a lot of Luminar stuff recently.
He's got a group called Getting Started in Photoshop, and layers, masks, pixel modifying, adjustments, selections, filters, smart objects, simple sky swap, portrait retouching. And I think let's see, the longest one I see there is about 30 minutes. So not bad for learning how to do things in half an hour or so. And then he has intermediate Photoshop, alien skin, capture one, mastering the Nick collection. Got quite a few videos on there. Well, Marty, thank you for picking that one out. Appreciate it. Glad you've seen that.
No problem.
All right. Any other questions from anybody? We'll search YouTube and answer your questions. Don't everybody talk at once. Anybody have any plans to go out and take some pictures and maybe blend some trees together or something like that? I don't know.
I did a mental health with Annie yesterday. We took the day. We left like 9:30, 10 o'clock. Didn't get home until 8. Took me on all these back roads up in Seven Springs area. We had a blast. I really needed it.
Yep,
I needed to
we
get
did.
out of reality for a while. And
We went exploring in the woods. Absolutely had a great time.
day.
Did you take any pictures?
Oh yes, lots and lots and lots. And it was cool because when we started, it was kind of rainy and foggy, so we got those moody pictures then, and then it got nice. So we had like the gamut of a day, so that was nice.
How much longer do you guys think we have left on our leaves?
Not very long.
Probably not very long.
I'm hoping to make it till Sunday. I'm off Sunday. I'd like to go up and go for a ride myself and go take some pictures.
Yeah, if you go a little bit south,
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, if you went like to summer, like down towards Maryland, you might be better off.
we're going to Phipps on Friday. Fall flower show.
Are you?
Yeah. 9:30 in the morning.
So I'm on vacation next week, so I'll have some time. Maybe I can actually go out and do a little photography sometime during the week. Probably not. I got like 6 cars that need to be started and run a little bit this week. So
We were at Twin Lakes. We do the walk. And when we got to where the boardwalk is, the waves were interesting. And we both got some photos that are pretty interesting. You want to see one?
Sure.
absolutely.
I gotta find it here. There, fall foliage.
Nice reflection.
Cool.
You know, it's unusual that the frequency of the waves was very modest. So they were kind of rolling, where normally you get this nervous energy in the lake. And this was kind of unusual and interesting.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Thanks.
Well, Brian, you were talking about the fall weather. Yesterday I posted about 10 photos on Reddit of various locations that I've been the last couple of weeks. I think we talked the other night. The colors this year are just spectacular, I think.
Yeah.
Jim, were some of those from Ohio, pal?
At least one was. There might have been a couple. Although when I was at Ohio Pal, it wasn't any. Oh yeah, there's the falls. You can see there's some colors there, but I forget exact. That was probably over a week ago.
I was gonna say I was up there the other day, and they were better than that. So yeah, I was up there Sunday.
What's interesting about the shot is that there's a fair amount of water on the Yauk itself. You go to Meadow Run, which is the one where the slides are, or Cucumber Falls. There's hardly any water coming there at all.
They're in the process of draining the Yauk Dam right now. They drain it in the wintertime.
Ah.
Down. So that's the reason you're still seeing a good flow on the Yock right now.
Ah, thanks for that explanation. It was, I mean, it was like night and day.
Yeah, it actually very soon. When I'm past there, I went across the dam on Sunday or Saturday rather, and it was getting close to the point of being able to see the Summerfield Bridge,
Yeah.
which is the old stone bridge that's underneath the Yock Dam.
I'll be done.
So I would say possibly this weekend or the next weekend, if they're continuing to do what they're doing, Summerfield Bridge will be out in the open for us to see again. I know over the last like 2 to 3 weeks, I've been driving over top the Yock every Saturday evening, and it has just went down and down and down and down. And like I said, when I went by Saturday, it looked like it was pretty close to getting down far enough to be able to see that bridge. So I think I'll be back up there again Saturday night. So I'll maybe give you all an update on that if it's available to be seen or not.
Yeah, we had a cabin up there at the Yock Estates, and about 25 years ago, it was drained so much that it only had like a little creek going through.
Under the bridge? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the whole lake was just a little creek.
Yep.
I had never seen it that low ever. It's remarkable.
I will look and see if I can't find some pictures that I took of that when it was that far down a few years back, actually. If you guys don't mind, I'll take a peek here real quick. I forgot that you're actually seeing my screen while I was doing that, so. Let's see, let's go back about here. There's the water slides that Jim was talking about. There's no water there now. There they are too. That's the water slides, but no, there's a lot more water there than there is now. What's that?
You're not going to see that today.
No, I just walked up through there the other night on Sunday night. I walked through those water slides where I normally can't walk.
There's some great spots when there isn't much water too.
Oh, Beth, have you been up there recently?
No, I'm hoping to get somewhere tomorrow, but I don't know where I'm going yet.
You know, when you go down to the slides and go to the left down to your rock,
Yeah.
you're not going to like what you see.
Oh, really?
Nope, not at all.
Did somebody mess with it, or is it natural?
Nature messed with it.
No, all right. I can handle if nature messed with it.
It's still, you're not going to like it.
Oh.
There, I don't have them posted on here. I thought I did. Anyhow, let's go back to Jim's pictures. He had some nice pictures. I'm going to show them to you. I know this is a Photoshop class, but guys, I'm out of ideas and you're not asking.
Brian, going back to that first one, you were saying that it looks better now. I actually increased the white balance on the trees to warm it up a little bit, just to try to make it a little bit more like fall.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was, yeah. Now, obviously, I mean, the yellows and oranges were there, but they
weren't popping yet.
They were not popping.
Yeah.
So that's a fake pop.
That's all right. We'll take that. Now that you know how to use a blending mode, maybe you can add that in on Photoshop and throw a little blending modes in there and see if that don't work a little bit better.
Yeah. So that's on the Meadow Run Trail at Ohio Powell. Obviously, that's the only thing that turned at that point in time. But it's nice because it stands out.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
that's at the Cascades area of Meadow Run, which would be further upstream from the slide. And that just happened to be one little channel through the rocks that was flowing at the time. That's about all the water that was there.
So you walked up that trail a little ways to get to the Cascades. That's pretty far from
about a mile or so, yeah.
Yeah. all that whole area that you walk through, that's where we take our tiny trucks to go play in the rocks.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
really?
Yeah, I'm up there almost every weekend now. This I liked, and I can guess that this is up at up near Spruce Bogs.
Yeah, that if you see the title, they're down below.
Oh, sure.
Pat
Yes,
thinks
from
I'm
the picture. I
crazy
didn't read the title.
for liking dead fern, but there's a unique look to it.
Yeah, they have the, Marty and I was looking at that yesterday, you know, they have that really golden color to them.
Yeah, I kind of like them that way.
They'd look
Just
really
different
cool in
everything's
black and
from it.
white.
Just at least gives you a little contrast.
That would look really good in probably infrared. Beth.
Yeah.
By the way, on going back to that one, we were talking about luminosity mask before. I used a luminosity mask on the ferns to tame down the, you can see there's sun coming through there. And some of them were just really, really, the highlights were almost blown. So I dimmed down quite a bit of the bright stuff using a luminosity mask. Just a backlit fern. I thought that looked nice.
Those ferns up there get really big too.
Oh yeah. That's the bog itself. And that's Wolf Rocks.
Where's that at, Jim? I'm not familiar.
So, well, you know where Spruce Flats Trail is. At that, you've been there before, right?
Yeah. I've been to the bog.
Okay, so the trail to the bog is off. I'm going to say as you pull into the parking lot,
Straight
its
ahead.
trailhead is off to the right.
Right.
Wolf Rocks Trail is off to the left.
Oh.
And there's a loop that goes to it. It's 5-mile round trip.
Ouch.
It's a little bit of a hike, and the one trail on the loop, it is a really difficult trail, and it's literally all roots and rocks. I mean, you don't look up, you look down for every step, or you'll be tripping big. But Wolf Rocks is, and I didn't see any, but there's rattlesnakes that like to sunbathe on the rocks there. So you have to be a little bit careful where you go.
Okay.
By the way, I didn't post it yet. I think I'm going to do it eventually. So I don't know if that particular was at the lens I had was a 16 to 80 zoom. And I can't guarantee that that's at 16, but I'm pretty sure that was as wide as I could go. I had my Samsung camera with me, and I sat down between the rock in the foreground and the rock on the left and took a photo with it, and it has a much wider lens on it, and it was spectacular looking. And I wish I would have taken my wider lens that I have to get that same shot with my Fuji. But. And in that one, I warmed up the trees as well. Not a whole lot, but I need to do it a little bit.
Great view.
And that's at Twin Lakes. That's the upper lake.
Pretty.
That one was that way. I didn't have to do anything with that. And that's Beam Rocks. We were just there a couple of days ago.
Where's that at?
So up on top of Laurel Summit, again, you've been, so you know where Spruce Flats Bog is.
Yeah.
Do you get access from Lynn Run?
What's that?
Do you access that area from Lynn Run?
Depends. Sometimes I access it from Route 30.
Okay, well, if you were accessing it from Lynn Run, you could stop at Spruce Flats Bog, do Wolf Rocks, then continue on Laurel Summit Road.
Yeah.
It's about a mile out the road or so on the right-hand side.
Okay.
It's about It's less than a half-mile walk out to the rocks.
Okay. I know what you mean.
That's just some leaves. And that's Lynn Run Road.
Pretty. Hey, Jim, I have a question for you. For that fit with Hannistown, I don't remember. Was it just trees or trees and leaves or what?
Why don't you read the email?
I did read it. I just had a lot of stuff going on. I just didn't remember what
Okay,
I
well,
thought it
okay, seriously, Andy, it's anywhere, the way I describe it in the email, anywhere from a leaf to a forest,
Okay.
but
Gotcha.
in a natural condition.
Okay. That's fine.
So no hand of man.
What was that, Dennis?
No hand of man.
Oh, yeah, like for instance, this one wouldn't be good with it because of the road.
Yeah.
Right. So no picnic tables in the picture, no fences, everything all natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a few of those yesterday.
Well, thanks for posting those pictures, Jim. That gave us something to look at. And Mike posted a picture of the Vintage Grand Prix from 2011. All right, let me stop sharing that for now. Anything anybody else wants to talk about or ask questions on?
I have one thing. I was driving by in the neighborhood. We're kind of not out in the country. It's like cross between suburbs and country, but there's some farms nearby. So I happened to pass one of the farms and they had their horses out and it was really pretty, nice light. So I stopped and parked on the side of the road, got out and was taking a couple photos, got back in the car, went down the road, went to turn around, and somebody blocked me in. And I thought, wow, what's happening? You know, so this woman got out and she was irate and she wanted to know why I was taking photos of her barn. And I was so taken aback by that. And I thought, surely I'm not the only person that's ever photographed this barn. But she was really mad at me. She said that, I don't know, they had trouble with people bothering the animals or something. But I mean, I was really far away from everything. I mean, it was off in the distance. I didn't even have the right kind of lens on my camera to get a good shot. So I told her, you know, I said, I'm just out. I was coming home from somewhere else, wasn't really planning on taking photos, but saw the light was nice and everything. And I'm trying to tell her this. And, but, you know, she was just really furious about that. Is anybody, I mean, if you see a nice barn and a nice horse and you're not on their property, has anybody ever had any trouble like that before?
Nope.
Well,
And you're on public property, so there's nothing she can do about it.
Legally, there's nothing she can do about it. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that people
Unless
aren't going to be jerks.
Unless you sell a picture, you're not allowed to take a picture of someone's property and sell it without their okay. You can take pictures.
No, you can sell a print, but you can't use it for advertising.
Right, you can't use it commercially.
Yeah, but you could sell it at like the garden center or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're on the road, as long as you haven't got into their property, if you're on the road, there's nothing they can do about it. They can be an ass about it, but there's nothing really they can do about it.
That's what I thought, you know, so I wanted to know if you guys wanted to come over here and we could all stand there along on this.
Protest.
I thought if we could get 20 or 30 people taking shots all at the same time, you know. And what's bad about it, she doesn't live very far from me, like maybe 5 minutes away. So she didn't even know, you know, I lived in the neighborhood. But I just thought, I was so taken aback by that, you know, the fact that I had to explain, well, you know, it's a beautiful day, you got horses out there, you know, why are you taking photos?
You did explain that you were just an amateur photographer.
Yeah.
She might have had some
And
concern
a
for for some reason.
horse thief on the side.
You know, it's probably the result of some past photographer crossing the fence, chasing or doing something with a horse, and corrupting the environment for everybody else.
It could be. Or she said they had a lot of tack in the barn, but when I was looking at the photos I took, the barn was like falling down. That was another reason I took the shot, you know, because it was just an interesting looking barn on its last legs. And I thought, if you have valuable stuff in there, lady, you got bigger problems.
You better get it out before the rest of the barn falls in.
Yeah, I know.
They could have been turned in.
What's that?
They could have been turned in for neglect, and they had pictures taken. And
I was thinking maybe she had a bunch of marijuana behind the barn or something. I don't know, but that's the first time I've ever had a problem, especially for a shot like that. You know, there weren't any people out there, but obviously she must have been somewhere, but she's not in any of the shots, so.
no, I mean, if the barn was run down, she may have had people try to turn her in. And that was,
Oh, maybe I should take a closer look at the horses to see if they're sickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there have been places that have tried to make taking pictures of farms illegal because of animal activists doing it on the sly. And there have, farther out west, there have been court cases about it.
But as long as I'm not on their property, you know, they can't call the cops on me or anything. Well, I mean, I guess they could
call, but
call them.
you know,
They
by the
might be
time they show up,
laughing at her.
yeah.
All right.
Well, Beth, it might not have made it, I'm sorry, Suzanne, it might not have made a difference. In that circumstance, I might have simply said, hey, would you be interested in me sending you some copies of the photos?
Well, I could
try to get on her good side, if you will.
Yeah, I could still do that, but you know, I mean, I could just drive over there and ask her, but I don't even know if I want to bother. You know? But that's a good idea, though. I guess I was just so surprised by it that I didn't know what to say other than the truth, you know. So it makes me wonder, maybe there is something going on there, because she just seemed really.
I don't know. I'm sure it's some experience she had that give a poor taste in her mouth.
Yeah, it's possible. So, well, okay, but like the offer's still out there if you guys want to come over. Okay, thanks for the info on that, so I know where I stand.
That's all right. I'm already going to court again on Friday, so once you know, that's enough.
Susanna would have never pictured you as a wave maker.
I was just kidding.
Okay, well, that's been my fall experience.
Well, I've been yelled at on more than one occasion for doing stuff.
You think?
By everything from property owners to police officers. So you do it long enough and enough times, you're going to get someone mad at you for. And most of the time, they just have no idea that they have no right to be mad at you, because we typically know more about the law than they do as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, as long as you're on the road, there's nothing they can do about it.
Thanks. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure there wasn't something out there I didn't know about, but okay.
I was kind of looking for those pictures of Summerfield Bridge, but I don't know what I did with them or where they're at.
So Brian, I'm going to throw a dig at you.
Yeah, I know. I don't have. Yeah. You don't even have to. I'm already thinking that myself, Jim.
All right.
They weren't in Lightroom that I know of, because I think I've already done away with that catalog from years ago, because this was probably 6 or 8 years ago at this point. But I thought I still had them on one of my portable hard drives that I carry with me, but I don't see them. So, I don't know. It is what it is. I'll come across them later tonight after the meeting's over, and then I'll post them. Anyhow.
So, hey, Marianne, since you're on the call and we're looking for something to talk about, I know you introduced yourself earlier. Tell us a little bit about your interest in photography and what you like and what you don't like and what you're hoping to get out of the club, maybe.
He's muted.
He's muted. Mm-hmm.
You're muted. Maybe she stepped away.
I say, hopefully she didn't fall asleep like I did the other night.
Yeah. So on the 26th and the 29th, we're going to do Haunted. Is that right?
We changed that from an actual thing to turning pictures in of Halloween type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the last Thursday of the month?
Yes. Yeah, we'll take a look at them during that SWIG meeting.
Okay. And it's Halloween or?
Halloween, haunted, anything that has to do with that kind of.
Okay.
I mean, even if you wanted to do something like we watched the video of the guy putting the skull in someone's face, anything like that that has to do with Halloween type stuff.
I went to Michael's today to get my photo for Irwin framed.
Yes, he did. It's going to look great.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
Oh, Brian, we need an email from you on that.
Yeah, you didn't send out the prospectus.
Okay.
And no restrictions on the time.
Of when the photo was taken.
Correct.
That is correct. Yeah, that way, if you want to dig back into your archives or something you photographed before, feel free to. I actually found on, I think it was Pittsburgh Photographers and Models, a person that done a shoot that was similar to what I was thinking about. So maybe we can plan further ahead and we won't have another pandemic next year to screw everything up for the whole year. Oh, we won't. The election will be over.
Yeah.
But anyhow, sorry.
Brian, mute yourself.
That was a good one, Brian.
Sorry, I had to. No, as long as we don't have anything that screws up the whole year next year, maybe we can plan further ahead. But what the shoot was a photographer had invited, I think it was 7 models, 6 or 7 girls, and they had all dressed up in a Halloween style photograph. One was dressed as Freddy Krueger, and another one is It, the clown with the balloon, the red balloon from It, and different things like that. So they had themed that, and they went out into the woods to photograph them, and they photographed them one at a time, and the whole group, and pairs and stuff like that. And that was really kind of what I was heading towards with this year's photo shoot, but everything's kind of wasn't working well for us this year. But I wanted to do it not necessarily with models, but with us, and use each other to do that was kind of my plan. But obviously that didn't work out, and we weren't meeting face to face and all that kind of stuff. But so kind of keep that in mind for next year. That's the idea for that, something of that nature.
Kind of like a Halloween party, if you will.
Kind of like a Halloween party, but just to photograph in, and what I was thinking was in the woods, something like that. They had smoke bombs that they put off with red and purple and orange colors and stuff like that, which I found a place to buy them relatively cheap.
Well, Melissa already bought them.
Okay.
Melissa had already, she ordered them a while ago, so we could do that.
Okay. So that was kind of the plan for that. And obviously that didn't work out. So next year, that's kind of keep that in mind for next year. That's where we're going to head for the October outing. We're going to try it again. So
what are we doing in December?
I don't know, what do we have listed for December?
For which meeting, Dennis?
Any and all.
Let me pull the newsletter up here and I'll tell you.
SWIG meeting, and I forget which month is which. We're going to cover Luminar and On One Photo Raw. And it's 2 SWIG meetings.
That is correct.
So what are we going to do for our Christmas celebration?
That I don't know, because Margie has, I think she's still barely venturing out of the house at this point.
Well, yeah, she, yesterday she told me and Marty that her neighbors have come down with COVID. So she's definitely not going anywhere, inviting anyone in or anything else. So she's really, really staying to herself as of right now. So
yeah,
I have a feeling it's going to stay that way with her for quite a while.
We can go to Ligonier, but we have to stand outside.
Right.
Yeah.
In the gazebo.
So November we had for SWIG meeting, we have November meeting as being a Luminar software, and the December meeting is On One software, is what we had listed for those two. Let me see if I have.
Then the November monthly meeting is the presentation by
Anne.
Ann Craybill.
Ann Craybill.
And then December was print night.
December was print night. That'll be kind of difficult to do if we can't see each other.
Yeah.
And
I don't think we want to hold a print up in front of our cameras on our computers and say, here's my print.
No, you could download them on Reddit or upload them on Reddit.
so Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
I can't see it.
What's that, Dennis?
Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve are on Thursdays.
Right. We always move those last 2 Thursday night meetings to the week before.
All right, 17th.
Right. Yeah, they always seem to fall on those last 2 Thursday. So we always go the week before that on those.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a November outing scheduled for Carnegie Art Museum. I guess we can kind of consider that if that's something we still want to do. And December, we had the Christmas party and the Overly's Country Christmas in Westmoreland Fairgrounds as our 2 things going on in December. Overly's, I have no problem with going there if they're still going to allow you to get out of the car and walk around like they've done in the past.
I haven't heard anything about Overly's.
I don't know.
And typically, when's it start? In November or December? It's for the month of December.
November.
Yeah, it starts in November.
November?
Usually starts right around Thanksgiving.
Okay. I'm looking to see if there's any information on it right now.
COVID-19 adapted plans. Whatever that means.
Means they're gonna wing it and decide then, probably.
Probably decide whether or not it's just going to be drive-through or whether or not they're going to actually let people
Yeah,
out.
maybe drive-through.
Out.
Yeah, that will be the question there, is whether or not you can get out of the car or not, because I don't want to go there and just drive through.
That would be a waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian, can I show something on portrait photography?
Absolutely.
How do I do that? Share the screen or how? What? Go to.
Is it going to be any kind of sound coming out of it as well?
No, just the pictures that I took.
Okay, so just go to share screen down at the bottom.
Okay, and then just go to
whichever screen that you're going to share.
Oh, okay. Let me just put it here. Okay. How do I do it? Just press share and then open system preferences and zoom. Okay. Oh, no. I must be doing something wrong.
Bob, before you do the share screen,
Uh-huh.
open up whatever it is.
Right, I have it here.
And that screen should be one of the selections.
Okay. Do you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. Does everyone see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a family that wanted their portrait for Christmas. And what they wanted was...
It's not any family now. I know better than that.
They wanted to go to Lynn Run. I think it's... I forgot the name of the rock and all that, but...
Flat Rock.
What?
Flat Rock?
Flat Rock, right, correct. So the thing is, there was a couple of challenges with this one here. First of all, is to get everyone in focus, to be in the same plane, and then the doggy, okay? And what I did is I placed a tripod, my Sony AR2 with Tamron lens, and unfortunately, I couldn't get a shallow depth of field because, again, the challenge is to get everyone in sharp focus. So I had to go to like an F10. And then because it was a little dusky, I had a flash behind me with a softbox that synchronized my shutter with the flash being executed. So I'm interested in portrait photography, and this is a little challenge. First of all, as a family picture. Two, I had to have my wife behind the flash clicking a animal to drag the dog's attention. And so it's a challenge to get everyone in focus and also have the dog in focus as well and paying attention to the camera. At the same time, lighting up the whole scene so it's not too dark, so I don't have a high ISO that would make it kind of noisy and all that. So it was a little challenge. So, but it was worthwhile. I think they liked the photos. And of course, they didn't pay the photographer anything. I mean, it was.
They probably let you buy dinner.
Excuse me?
They let you buy dinner.
Yeah. Well, I scooted out of there very quickly because the dog and everybody else and all that. And you had to be careful on the rocks because I slipped on the rock and all that and didn't hurt myself, but I got the shot and all that. And let me see if there was any other, that was it. I just wanted to show how challenging portrait photography could be, at least to the novice myself. And that's why nature photography is much simpler.
Hey, Bob, you need to tell the dog to put his chin down a little bit.
Well, there's other photos and all that I have, but I just wanted to share this one here because it was kind of a close-up, and you saw everyone, and the eyes are in focus, and everything is, you know, in focus. But again, it's very difficult to get blurred background when you try to get everyone in plane being focused and all.
The dog, I don't know if anybody noticed or not, but the dog has 2 different color eyes.
Yeah.
Yes, it has different color eyes. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's a cutie. It's
Very
a,
cute.
what do you call those English dogs? Those,
A corgi?
corgi. Yeah. Yeah.
Corgi.
A corgi. A corgi. I always forget that. It's a corgi.
Well, corgi.
Corgi. So if anyone's interested in flash photography, there's a lot of YouTube videos on it, and I mean for portrait photography, excuse me.
The your lights are good. Your lighting is good, Bob, and your catch lights are really great in each one of the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the challenge is to have the shutter speed so that if the dog has movement, that it's minimized and all. Could you get it right away and all that. I didn't have it in high speed sync. I just had it in a regular flash, and it got to the limit of 250. So I was able to capture that, because anything higher than, you know, over 250, you have to have high sync, and there's less power in the flash.
Yes, absolutely.
But again, if anyone's interested, a lot of YouTube videos, and the family's the best one to photograph, because you don't have to pay them anything, and likewise, they don't pay you anything.
For those who want to know,
They
that's
might
Bob's
say
son.
thank you.
Oh, they did say thank you, and they did like the pictures and all that.
That's Bob's son, Ian.
Yeah, that's my son, my daughter-in-law Carla, and then my 2 granddaughters.
Nice. Very nice family.
Very nice.
Thank you.
I think it's a great shot.
Yeah.
All of their eyes are open. They're all smiling, and they're all looking at you, even the dog.
Right, even the I clicked a lot. Click, 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 click.
So that's the biggest challenge, is to get everyone looking the same direction at the exact same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
After that, the technical part's not so hard.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is also to keep it on a tripod, because with that speed and everything, to just keep it, you know, as stable as possible.
Yep.
So thank you.
Nice.
Do I get out of here now? Or
Yeah, you can just go ahead and click stop share.
stop share? Okay.
Yep.
That's it. No. Okay. And this is another one. Oh, well, okay.
I'm sorry, Bob. I thought you
No,
were.
that's okay. That's okay.
Go back and share it again. I'm sorry. Go right back to that. I want to see that.
Okay. This was another. You see this here? I mean, it's a nice pose, but I thought this one with them 2 back to back would give a little more kind of substance to their relationship being together and all that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So
cute.
again,
You know what's really interesting about that, Bob? The
Mhm.
cracks in the rock in front of them kind of mirror their leg position.
oh, I didn't notice that, Jim. Thank you. Yeah.
Bob planned it that way.
No, I mean, that was by accident. I mean, you try to, everybody's in different directions. You try to say, all right, come over here, come over here. You only have a few seconds and all that, or a minute or two to put the composite together. So that was one that I liked. And then the last one.
You know, Bob, before you switch from that, go back one. We talk about triangles a lot in photography. And if you guys look at that, there is all kind of triangles going on in there.
Yeah.
So there's triangles with there's legs, there's triangles with that crack in the front that makes a big triangle, and at the front that brings you right into the picture. And then their legs and their arms and all that kind of stuff. There's triangles all over the place, and that's what makes people look at photography or look at a photo, is a lot of triangles going on, brings you in from all over the place.
It also follows if there's a joint, bend it.
Right.
I think Rex was mentioning that when he mentioned about the portrait photography.
Yep.
Yeah. And
okay, good. That's cool.
Yeah. Then this one was a different shot, and again, it's a dog that you had to capture his attention and all that.
Yep.
So again, my wife was busy clicking and all that.
He kind of looks there. The puppy kind of looks there like, are you really clicking that thing again?
Yeah, I know.
I
Yeah,
think that's
it's hard with an animal. I mean, it's a
Yep.
challenge to keep that animal in attention and all that. But again, just and then the final one I thought was really good was this one here with that house by the
Yeah.
by the trail.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of make it, you know, a little symmetrical.
You haven't even have Ian with his hands in his pockets, which supposedly is a good pose for a man.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, they changed shoes.
Yeah.
that's right, because it was wet and a little muddy and all that. So they like to hike, so I guess they wanted to have the ambiance of hikers and the full, you know, dress gear.
Yep.
So they changed. So, but anyway, portraits are interesting. If you get people to volunteer, and if you get people, you know, mostly the family for the most part, you know. But anyway, just to share some techniques, you know, and some challenges.
That picture right there, Bob.
Uh-huh.
When you get a chance, take a look at that in black and white.
I did. Let me just.
You like it or not?
Oh no, I did. I did it in black and white. I gave it to them, but it's not in this series of pictures. No, it's not in this
Back
series.
up.
What?
Back up. We saw it.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. That's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not complete. I forget what I did with this one here. I think it was one of those presets in Lightroom that I used, plus a little bit of a split tone.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So, thank you.
Thank you,
Bob.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Very nice.
So, hey, Bob, we'll be seeing Jason and his family come Christmas.
Good. Good.
Well, can we get together?
Well,
I'm
sure.
not going to take them. I thought you would for me.
Oh no, you're the pro. You know, just get them all lined together and smile and shoot away.
I take pictures of trees, not people.
Well, like I said, it's a challenge to get everybody together. Like Brian said, get them all smiling, looking at the camera, and sharpness. You know, to keep it all. You know.
Yep.
Get
I
Rex
just-
to go in there.
I just did that with a friend of mine, her and her family, with Barb Denning's help. We went out to Green Lick Lake in Mount Pleasant. So I have a bunch of photos to process for that. But yeah, they were really happy. Barb had a great time. My friend and her family, they were just really fantastic with, you know, posing and everything. So I think we got a lot of good shots. So, and like you, I'm not usually a portrait photographer, but I've done it some in the past. So I think they've came out pretty well.
Right. It kind of it creates a little bit of increases your bubble, not the latitude of your, you know, what you could do and all.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bob, one question for you. I noticed, I think it was the first photo that you showed us. The ISO was at 3200. Did you do anything in particular to reduce noise?
You know, it wasn't that bad. I may have just adjusted the noise just a little bit, but it didn't come out granular like I thought it would be at that level. You know, one thing about when you do this for the first time, there's so many variables. You got to do the shutter speed, the lighting, the posing, the flash that I use, where to put it and all that. And so, and I should have more or less brought it down to as best as possible, maybe like 200 or 400. But it was just that I want to capture it, and just, you know, one thing got after another. But you have to be more mindful as you progress in your ability to do portrait photography or that kind of photography. But yeah, it was 3200, but it wasn't that much noisy when I did it on the screen and looked at it in Lightroom.
Good.
Nice, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, anybody else have any questions? We're coming up to the 9 o'clock point here.
Well, hey, Brian, just in case our officer,
Yeah, any officers that are on here, when we end the meeting, please hang out just for a few minutes. We're going to talk about the possibility of that pop-up show, or whatever it is, the pop-up thing at the Westmoreland, whatever it is. So, yeah, so officers hang out when we're done here for a few minutes. Trying to think. I don't know if there's anything else going on. I'm thinking of possibly taking a 3-hour trip to go to a Renaissance festival.
That's not this Sunday, is it?
It could be, or next Sunday.
This Sunday. I'm off.
What's that, Dennis?
Where's it at?
It's the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair, which is out near
near Hershey?
Yeah, that direction. I can't remember the name of the town right now. I'm really missing the Renaissance Fair this year, so.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was just out there. He posted a bunch of pictures. It looks like it's well maintained. The grounds look like a lot of it's like the sidewalks and things. They look like they're paved. So it looks pretty nice.
It's a little bit above Lancaster.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if you thought it would be as nice as the one around here.
I don't know. I don't have the hills of Lancaster.
Like I said, it actually looks like it's not as hilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Mannheim, PA, to be exact. So they've been going on for like, I think they go on for like 2 months.
Yeah, you'll see the wicked wenches.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and they're doing time tickets. You buy your time ticket so that they know how many people are coming. So
yeah,
it's and they're restricting the amount of people that they're allowing in. But I haven't seen a weekend where they've sold out yet. So, anyhow, I was considering that as a drive or something to do. So,
are they going to make the people wear masks that are dressed up? Because that would kind of mess up your photos.
Well, some of the pictures I seen showed showed them with masks on. Some did not. I know on their website it says to bring a mask or have a mask with you or wear a mask or something like that. So,
like I said, this Sunday I can go.
okay, we'll talk. If anybody's interested in going, a little bit of a drive, but I've not I've driven as far for French fries, so.
Yep. You have done that.
Well, those things are important.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a good hot dog.
Actually, if it's the one at Mount Hope Estate and Winery, it says October 17 sold out. So that's Saturday. So.
Say anything about Sunday?
The tickets available October 18 through November 1st.
Okay.
Okay. So anyhow, anything else before we finish for the evening?
We're going to meet next Wednesday?
As far as I know, yes. Unless I'm like somewhere in the woods where I have no internet connection, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I'm on vacation next week, so, but I don't plan on, most of my plans revolve around all the stuff I should have done this summer and trying to get it done before this winter. So my week will be, like I said, I got 6 or 7 cars that need to be started and run and driven, and I got a couple of carburetors to rebuild, and I got 4 or 5 farm tractors that need started and run this week. So it'll be a busy week of getting things running. So I'll be around, and yes, as far as I know, we will have our meeting next Wednesday night.
All right.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, thank you. I hope you learned a little bit about Photoshop tonight and enjoyed the meeting and everything. Thanks for those of you that shared and asked questions and helped make it not a complete failure on my part. So appreciate it. And we'll see you guys soon. And officers, hang out.
I will see you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, everybody have a good
Thanks,
evening.
Brian.
Good evening.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Gaylor. Okay.
All right, so I asked Brian if we could do this little get together here.